everyone, it's Annette with ASCardDesign. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really fun ocean themed card. We're going to be using products from different lines of stamps, but let's go down to the tabletop camera and I'll show you what I'm going to start using. Alright, so we're going to be using a paper from this paper pack from Park Lane, and it's from the Calm and Cool 12 by 12 paper pad collection. I love the designs in this. I love blues and browns. Those are my favorite color combinations actually. And so I was just leafing through this paper pad and I landed on, I mean there's some beautiful papers, but I landed on, let me see if I can find it because there's two pages of every design. And of course, I think it's back here that I landed on this one. Of course, this one. So I picked this pad for my pattern paper and I tore out a sheet. So that's what we're going to use today. So let me show you what we have. So I went ahead already and cut out, or these are just pieces of the cardstock. I cut out a piece of navy cardstock. That's going to be my matte layer, and then this is just a piece of that pattern paper. I just chopped it up and made panels that I can use for different card projects. But what I'm going to do is use ginakdesigns Master Layouts 2 to cut out the panel and the matte layer. So we'll do that, and we'll go ahead and do that here first. Let me bring in my Big Shot die cutting and embossing machine. Oh, that thing's heavy. And we'll do some die cutting. And if you don't have the dies, you can still make this card. Just you can use your paper trimmer and cut them down to size. All the card measurements are in the description below. So just go to the description, click on more, and you'll see the card measurements. But I put those measurements in every video description. So if I fail to mention it, just know that on all my previous videos, you can just go there and get all the measurements, all the supplies. So in this stamp set, I'm going to pull out these two dies, the two large rectangles. One is stitched and the other one is just plain. The stitched layer is the panel. That one's going to be smaller. And then the larger rectangle is for the matte layer. So let's go ahead and cut that first. I'm going to be showing you a very cool embossing powder product, so stick around and wait for that because that's really what makes this ocean theme, beachy theme card come alive. So that's our our matte layer, and then we'll go ahead and run the panel through. And just keep in mind, if you're using pattern paper, if it has a direction, this one kind of does. Like I want it to go this way. It could go that way, but I want it to go this way. So just, run it through. I guess with this it doesn't matter because you're just going to cut it. But when you glue it down, make sure you have it the way you want it. Okay. And I'm smiling because I just love this card. I didn't get to see my friends this year. I go usually once a year to Cocoa Beach to see couple really good friends, and I didn't make it this year in May when I usually go. So this card definitely has them on my mind as I'm making it. So that is going to be how it will go together. So that's really pretty. And then I also went ahead with this same die set. I cut out this matte layer and this panel layer. It is, let me get the dies so you can see. They're kind of narrow rectangles, and again, they mimic the panels that we just cut. One's a stitched layer, one's plain. And I've already cut out what I want to use. And so I have the same navy, well, I've already glued them together. So I have the same navy cardstock for the matte layer, and then the stitched layer for the panel. And the card will come together. We're going to stamp on this and do some really cool embossing, but this will all come together here. So let me pull all this out of the way because we are done with master layouts. We're done with all of this. I just have these storage pockets. I honestly don't remember where I got them, but you can get plastic storage pockets from a lot of the craft stores, or I know ginakdesigns sells some. Simon Says Stamps, scrapbook.com. They're everywhere. So they're just nice to have your supplies all in one spot. All right, so let me get this out of my way. And then, oh my goodness. Side note, a little screw came out of my Big Shot, so I'm going to have to do some detective work and see where that came from later, but not right now. We have a card to make. Okay, so I'm bringing in my mini Misty, and we're just going to set those 2 layers aside first. Before we do stamping, I also want to show you, let's get a piece of, I don't have a piece of scrap paper handy, but I'm just going to use the back of this mouse pad, because I'm going to do a little bit of easy ink blending on this. I'm going to zoom in so you can see. I am going to just use whatever is left on. I'm going to pull a blue and a brown blending brush. These happen to be from ginakdesigns. You can use any blending brush or a sponge, anything you have, but whatever blue and brown is left over on this, I'm going to just loosely blend. I want some white to show through because I want to kind of mimic a cloud, like a sky, and then the sand of the beach. So I'm just gonna blend. It's gonna be very subtle. I don't know if you can see that, but I think you can. It's very subtle. And then I'm gonna do the same from the bottom up to mimic some sand, perhaps. At least that's what I'm aiming for. So again, very subtle. I don't even think, my lighting, whew, crazy. I don't think you can see it on camera, but when I take photos, I'll put them at the end of this video and you'll see up close photos of the ink blend. Hopefully again, I want it to be very subtle. All right, now we're gonna do some stamping. So let's bring in the mini Misty. And this is just a stamping platform that allows you to stamp multiple times in the same spot. And I have a grit mat. I believe this one is from Waffle Flower, but it's 4x6, I believe, and it just fits inside the mini Misty, and it's sticky. And if it loses its stickiness, all you have to do is wash it with warm soapy water and let it air dry. Don't use a towel or anything, just let it air dry because you don't want any lint on that. And so what I'm going to do first is let's pull in the stamp sets that we're going to use. All right. I love this stamp set. It's from Ginakdesigns Guiding Light. And we're going to use the seagull from this one. Okay, so that's number 1. And here's where I really encourage you, go through your stamps, mix and match. Like these 2 stamp sets are from Hero Arts. And I'm actually going to use elements from both of these and the Guiding Light. So all 3 of these stamp sets are going to be used in this card. We're going to use the seagull, we're going to use these birds, and we're going to use hello. And this will look like you wrote hello in the sand. And the embossing powder I'm going to be using is also from Hero Arts. I'll show it to you now. It's Hero Arts embossing powder, and it's called Sand. And let me open it because it's so cool. It just looks like there's just light tan and brown, grainy embossing powders, and when you heat set it, it looks like sand. So very cool. So stay tuned, that's to come. So the first thing I want to do is just lay out the design. And I like to do that before I stamp. I don't like to stamp all at once because sometimes things get, it's hard to tell with the stamps. When you line them up, they look like they're real close together, but after you stamp it, there's like some gap, some space, and then it just doesn't look natural. So I like to just get everything out and kind of put them where I think they're going to go. I'm going to stamp the seagull first. So we want the hello down here and the seagull maybe like about there. And the birds will go up there somewhere. Okay, so let's pick this guy up. and push that down really well. I am going to powder up my panel because I have lotion on my hands and the oils are going to make the embossing powder stick everywhere. So I'm using Simon Says Stamp anti-static powder, and I'm really going to focus on the bottom part because that's where we're going to put the embossing powder, and then I will shake it off at towards the bottom, avoiding the sky area. So we'll just treat that now. And then for this seagull here, I'm going to stamp him in ginakdesigns Premium Dye ink in blue denim. Okay, one of my favorite colors. And we're just going to ink up the stamp. Let me get in shot here. And we'll drop it down. And depending on what it looks like, I may stamp twice. Yeah, I'm going to stamp one more time. I love the line art on these stamps. It's just beautiful. Okay, so that is the seagull. And then we're going to go ahead and just clean off the stamp here. And we will put him away. Alright. I always take the time to put my stamps and my dies away as I use them because I've lost stamps in the early beginning days of my card making just because I didn't take the time to put them away and I found them in the trash, luckily. But they are hard to find. If they drop on the floor, they just blend in. And if they pop in the trash, you know, good luck with that. So take the time. And now the birds, I'm going to just kind of position them like that. This card is so cool. And then for this, I'm going to stamp it in Gina K's Black Onyx. So the birds are going to be black. They're small, so they're going to give the appearance of being way off into the distance. And I really like that. So let me just do it one more time. Okay, and that's what we have so far. All right, let's go ahead and clean these little guys off. Put them away. And then we will, I'm shedding my hair. All right, now we have this hello to deal with. Okay, so we're going to put it down towards the bottom, about like that. And I am going to tip it towards me just to make sure it's straight, and it looks pretty good. Okay. Now, we're going to stamp this one in Gina K's Warm Cocoa. I just thought that would look way better than black. I mean, black with the sand embossing powder, that wouldn't really go very well, in my opinion. So I'm going to give it a little boost by stamping it in a brown tone, Warm Cocoa. Alright, so we'll stamp it probably just once, and then we do have to clean off the stamp. So be sure when you're embossing and you ink first, don't move your stamp, just clean it off because you have to stamp it again with embossing and watermark ink, and we're using Simon Says Stamp. So I just want to kind of prep my area and get ready here. Let me get this out of the way. So when I emboss, I like to have my catching paper, my embossing powder. I got my heat tool on standby here next to me. So let's go ahead and put the watermark ink down. And I apologize, my pad is a little filthy, but that's okay. That's just from not cleaning off stamps all together, and ink kind of transfers. But so the sticky embossing ink is now going on top of the Warm Cocoa. All right, and then before I open that, I'm going to get my catch paper and open this. Actually, before you open this, I'm going to give this a little shake up and down just to get all those granules mixed. There we go. And now, let you see what I'm doing here. I'm just going to dump the embossing powder all over the hello. I'm just focusing on the bottom part. And then we'll dump it off. And I'm going to do it one more time. Okay. And then it looks like my blue ink dried really well, but if it didn't dry and some of the powder was on there, and I'm just going to do this first to demonstrate, but just to make sure for good measure, just take a paintbrush and just swipe over it. Just get rid of whatever you don't want, wherever you don't want the powder, because once you set it, once you heat set it, it's going to be shiny, and I don't want the post to be embossed. So let me just set this aside for a second, and I'm going to put this powder away. I'm just going to put it right back into the container. Okay, just dump that right back in. Then I want to, before we heat set that, I want to get rid of the stamp, clean it off, and put it away. Where did it go here? Here we are. We'll just put that right back in the pack. We are done with this. And now we're going to heat set that. So let me grab my heat tool, which is just a generic heat tool. It doesn't even have a name on it. I'm pretty sure I got it at Michael's when I first began card making a couple years ago, and it still works, so this is what I use. So I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to let it warm up for about 15 seconds, and then we'll melt the powder. Just kind of want to melt the bottom, and then we will hit the top, make sure it's all melted. And keep your heat tool moving. Okay. And there you go. The hello is nice and shiny, and it looks like you wrote it in the sand. Let's give you a better look right there. Isn't that cool? So that's the sand embossing powder from Hero Arts. And then now, all we're gonna do is, I need to get a card base. And for the card base, this is just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and I just cut it down to 8.5 by 5.5, and then you just score it at the halfway mark. And for me, I just fold it over, meet the corners. I know most card crafters score, and I do sometimes, but I just, you know, my score board is not handy dandy near me, so this will work. And then we're going to glue this together. Let me pan out just a little bit. So we have our matte layer, and we have our panels, so we're going to go ahead and glue those together. Okay. And again, make sure the shells or the pattern is going the way you want it. And I need to bring this down just a little bit so I can make sure I'm even all the way around. Okay, that looks good. All right, you can see that there. Then we're going to go ahead and put the panel right onto the card base. And we can do that right there because that's easy enough. Just make sure there's even margins. Eyeball it all the way around. And if it's not straight, the glue allows you to pick it up. You know, you have a minute or less, but you can play around with it if you need to get it straight. That looks good. Okay. And then I'm just going to glue this. I'm going to put this right in the middle. Just like that. And that card is done. I mean, this is a quick card. If you have pattern paper and just some stamps, even if you just heat embossed hello, it doesn't have to be with the sand embossing powder, but that's just basically a design I wanted to show you, that you can make a very nice card with minimal supplies and quick, make a quick card. So we have the Master Layouts 2 has that stitched layer on the panel, both panels, and then the matte layer, some stamping, some heat embossing. And I want to show you, I made another card just to give you a little, another idea. So this was the same pattern paper, and what I did was I cut the panel with this from Gina K's Master Layouts 4. I cut the panel with that layer, with that die, and then I also cut with this die another piece of just plain, like a light blue cardstock, and then I did the matte layer in light blue. And then I ran, after I die cut the panel, and you can see it has a nice scalloped edge. After I cut it, then I ran it through this embossing folder, 3D embossing folder from Simon Says Stamp called Dottie Whirlpool, excuse me. And if you look closely, you can see those raised dots. They're raised and they give it a nice, nice texture. I'm trying to see if I can, that's probably the best I can do, but just gives you a nice little texture. Kind of looks like bubbles, so that's kind of why I went with it. And they're just swirling around. And then I stamped it using, where's the stamp set? I used this one. Oh, and these stamp sets, let's see, this one was called Layering Waves, and again, the description's down below, but I used this stamp set, says see you soon, okay, right there. And then from the other Hero Arts stamp set called Layering Sea and Sky, I used these tiny little footprints, okay, and I stamped them twice. I did it in the warm cocoa and then again with the embossing ink and the sand embossing powder from Hero Arts, and then I heat set that. So that's just another design idea. Simple cards, just layering your matte layer, your panel, another element on top, and I did pop this up with foam. You can see underneath there with foam squares, just so it wasn't laying flat. And that's it. That's 2 easy cards. It didn't take me long to make this one, and this one was just equally as easy. So I hope you give this a try. If you like this video, give me a like, share it, subscribe. I put a video up every Wednesday. We do live on Wednesdays. So that's a live. So join us, and you can participate in the chat if you want, but those are always fun. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. are the lives. Sunday at 1 p.m. are scheduled videos, and those times are Eastern. So I hope you join the community, and I hope to see you soon. Until then, have a great week.